YouTube, what is going on? In today's video, guys, we are finally getting a little bit of leaks or a little bit of news about Verdansk coming out. And I kind of wanted to just talk about it, kind of give my opinions, my first reactions to some of the information that's been posted on Twitter, and just kind of let you guys know where I hope the direction of Verdansk goes, and also some quality of life things I hope to see in the return of Verdansk. Before we jump into the video, if you guys are new here, I would really appreciate it if you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel with your post notifications on, and also comment down below. All right, let's get straight to it. All right, so starting off, I saw this tweet specifically from Modern Warzone and also Charlie Intel. We'll go ahead and start here at Charlie Intel's. It says, new rumors on Verdansk return to Warzone, set to return with Season 3. Now, currently on the Battle Pass, if you guys didn't know, Season 2 is like predicted or timed to end on March 20th or March 19th. So Season 3 would technically be starting on March 20th, which is now the leak, or I guess the expectation of when Verdansk is going to drop. Now, we've heard many times that Verdansk was going to drop sometime in April or March, so this is super exciting. And I believe at COD Next as well, they said it was coming like in early or in the spring of 2025. So this wasn't a huge surprise to me, but I'm honestly so excited because we're less than a month out and Verdansk is coming back. I could not be more excited. But let's go ahead and dive into some of these tweets and kind of just these bullet points that they're talking about. So starting off, it says set to return with Season 3, like I mentioned, March 20th, and the map is similar to OG Verdansk. Now, if you guys remember OG Verdansk, there's a couple of things here. I think it was like a closed stadium. There's a bunch of other things, like downtown did not have Nakatomi building. A lot of things that came in the Cold War update that we won't have. So if they're saying that this is the original Verdansk, there's gonna be a lot of things that are just super old. Like we don't have factory next to Superstore, a bunch of different POIs and stuff. I think Dam turned into Summit later in the game. So this is super interesting, and I'm actually super excited to kind of see the original feel of Verdansk. I'm hoping that it's honestly just original and just the base, because I feel like if they want to bring back that nostalgia, they have to go to square one and then kind of build the story from there. Now, kind of moving on to the next bullet point, he talks about here how Stadium is accessible from the inside, but the roof is closed. I believe when the game initially dropped, it wasn't like this, right? It was like where Stadium was just closed in general and you couldn't go in it. So I think this is different. If I'm not mistaken, this is different. So I guess you're allowed to go into Stadium, but the roof won't be open, which is, I don't know, that's kind of weird and kind of confusing, but I want to hear your guys' opinion on that. That might be a whole different like POI. Like I wonder if they're gonna have windows on the side so you could shoot out, or if it's just gonna be completely closed and then there's only doors that you can see out. I don't know. This is kind of super weird to me. And like I said, these are all rumors and we haven't really seen the map yet. So if this is true, I'm just curious to kind of see how this plays out. Lastly, here on the last bullet point, we have the train system return. Now, I actually didn't really use the train system on Verdansk. I know that it was kind of like a speed train, but I'm assuming that this train, I remember original Verdansk when we had the train, you could not stop it. Now, the one that we have now, you can reverse, forward, backwards, like, and you could also stop it as well. So I'm wondering, I'm assuming that they're going to put the current train that we have in now, and they're going to go ahead and put it in this current system if we have that, which I think going back and forth is fine. And then with the buy station, the UAV tower, a lot of crates, ammunition boxes on the train, just kind of make it a POI where it's super exciting. And it's like, oh my God, the train's here. You know what I mean? I really do enjoy POIs where it's exciting to have something like that. So hopefully this is really good. And then, yeah, these are just a few things that I kind of mentioned that I think that the game really lacks right now, and also kind of makes the original experience of Verdansk amazing. So for example, like original vehicles were absolutely crucial. There's nothing like, you know, landing at like TV station for the heli, or even landing Superstore and you get that blue SUV car outside of Superstore. There's just something about grabbing those original vehicles that made the game amazing. And I think that things like redeployment balloons have kind of ruined the experience of rotating. You know, I know I talked about it a lot in my last video, but I really want to see the original Battle Royale experience kind of come back, where you're traversing, either just jumping off a building and parachuting, or driving a vehicle, or running. I really am not a huge fan of the balloons. I feel like it kind of just like, it makes every map kind of feel similar in a way, where you're rotating the same exact way, whether it was Caldera, Al Mazrah, Urzikstan, and now Verdansk. If we had balloons, it just, there's only one way to rotate, and it's just balloons, it feels like, especially the ones that are static. So I really do hope that we take redeployment balloons out. You know, that might be like a little bit of a hot take, and I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say in the comments about that. But me personally, I just feel like redeployment balloons kind of ruined the Battle Royale experience, and I just love driving vehicles on Verdansk. It kind of just made rotating a lot more fun, and also just made it a lot more interesting, you know, and just a very unique experience. You were kind of driving a car and a vehicle in different maps and different like paths every single time. So hopefully we get to see that kind of come back in the original vehicles, especially because the vehicles we have right now just aren't very, very good. Another thing that I think is super important, you know, I think right now I play a lot of ranked. So fortunately, we only have one Gulag at the moment. We do have fire sale, which I'm not a huge fan of, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I will say, guys, for the original battle royale experience, I would love to see one gulag. There's nothing like your teammate's full dead. You got one guy last up going to the gulag, and he's got one chance to kind of clutch up and get the team back. I personally would love to see one gulag come back, so that there's just no way to like keep going back to gulag. And also, it just kind of makes the gulag overplayed. If you have multiple gulags in a single game, you're playing the gulag 3 to 4 times a game, you're eventually going to get really sick of that gulag, you know what I mean? And it's just also not going to be valued. I know, like I said, I play a lot of Warzone ranked right now, and I try to value my life as much as possible so that I'm saving my gulag, because when that zone 5 closes, you get a lot of money if you still have your gulag. So I try to save my gulag as much as I can. Obviously, you know, because times will die to teams, or we'll kind of just get caught off guard, or even in that late game, we'll get the extra money that we had with gulag. It kind of just rewards that slower pace of play, which I think is super healthy for a battle royale experience. Now, moving on to my 4th point, one-shot snipers. Now, this is controversial because I will say, from a competitive standpoint, as you guys know, I watch a lot of competitive stuff like Warzone Ranked, World Series of Warzone. I cover a lot of that, and I try to, you know, take the game from a casual and a competitive perspective, because I know that they're very, very different. So I do think that one-shot snipers, though, in pubs are absolutely okay. Now, in a Warzone ranked mode, I do think that one-shot snipers are unhealthy for the game, just because it is a competitive mode. And, you know, snipers in general they don't take a lot of skill, right? And they're also just super random, and it kind of adds to the level of RNG. You know, if you guys don't know what RNG is, it's just basically like random number generator. So it's just how random things can happen in a game or in a mode. And I just think in VR, one-shot snipers in general kind of add RNG. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. If you guys watch a lot of the most viral clips that were in Warzone Verdansk, a lot of them were one-shot snipers. You know, I know we had a lot of HDR clips. Bartonologist was an absolute legend back in Warzone Verdansk. He used to post all these crazy sniping clips and stuff like that. I know Ryda even had like some really cool clips with the Swiss that I used to watch on Verdansk. So I'm really hoping that they do bring back one-shot snipers and kind of make them pretty good, especially the heavy ones. You know, make the heavy snipers super, super strong and make the bullet velocity on them good, but make the movement penalty super high, make the flinch super high, make the ADS super slow. You know, there are ways to kind of balance them, I feel like. And so I would really, I'm just super excited to kind of see what kind of direction they take with snipers. And I do hope that we kind of get that original experience back. Now, going on to my next point, if you guys didn't already watch my last video, you guys should absolutely watch my last video. We compared old audio from the gas to the footsteps to the new audio that we have now. And let me tell you guys, walking on metal now is super, super quiet and damp, and I would absolutely love to see metal, grass, you know, just like ambient audio rather than this reverb audio that we have. I would like to have it where if you're walking on metal, you hear the dink, 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 and it's just, you know, climbing up a ladder, dink, 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 dink. Like, I really want to hear audio just be very relative to where we're at in the game. You know, I just think right now audio is super quiet sometimes, and it doesn't really work as well as I think they would want it to. So I'm really hoping that we can kind of get back to that. Now, moving on to my final point here, we're talking about the original map. Like I said, I'm super excited to kind of see Verdansk in its original state. I'm hoping that they bring it back in an original state so that we can kind of start from scratch and maybe even build a new story. Or if they want to open up stadium, you know, maybe do it in a different way, or, you know, they can kind of just create different scenarios on where the game grows. So I'm hoping that we can kind of see which direction they get to take this, but starting off with an original map, in my opinion, would be amazing. And I think it'd be really, really good for the game. And my last point, make Warzone a BR again. You know, kind of talking about this a little bit. I think with Warzone 2, you know, we got to a point where there were Gulag tokens, flares, redeploy packs, fire sales, you know, and there's just a lot of issues with that, in my opinion. I understand that they saw such a massive surge and success in Resurgence, in the Resurgence game mode. And I think they tried to translate it a little bit to the Battle Royale mode to kind of bring some of those people over from Resurgence to Battle Royale. But I think respectfully, they are just two different game modes. And I kind of hope that they continue to kind of grow both sides of that. You know, I think Resurgence should have their own LTMs, bring back the April Fool's mode, you know, stuff like that. And I would love to see Verdansk have its own LTMs as well. So maybe as a 200 massive BR mode, or a bunch of just other things that we used to have, man. So I just really hope that they kind of separate the two, make Battle Royale feel like a Battle Royale. Because when I remember when I was winning, you know, winning some games with my IRLs, my cousins, my brother, whatever it might have been, man, even with like my fellow competitors or other creators, it was just really enjoyable to win a game. And now I feel like at this time, if you go to the Gulag, you just land on a buy station and you get like, first of all, you get like $6,000 or $3,000 in the Gulag. I don't know why there's money in the Gulag. Let me set that aside real quick, but it's just like the original feel. You know, I think that Gulag tokens are just bad for the game. So I'm really hoping that they kind of make Warzone a VR again and just really slow down the game a little bit. I think that there's something that's wrong with like making the game too fast. Balloons, Gulag tokens, fire sale, redeploy packs, stuff like that, that makes the game super, super fast. But as far as movement and stuff like that, that stuff should stay fast. Slide canceling should be fast. The diving should be smooth. Bunny hop should come back. I think there's a lot of things that they could do with movement that they could make it very fast paced, but make the experience a super organic and also just a genuine feel to a battle royale. So that's kind of what my hope is on that. Now, there's a couple more things I want to talk about. I know I mentioned the Gulag. In my opinion, I think the Gulag, we've had the same Gulag for a while now, and honestly, I'm pretty okay with the Showers Gulag. It's the original feel. I would like to see the original Showers come back. That would be awesome. But I do think that there's a couple things that I want to see fixed with the Gulag. I would love to see no flashbangs, no lethals or tacticals. You know, maybe if frag grenades are tough because they're kind of hard to dodge if you cook them, but if you can hear the audio, then I understand it. But like Molotovs, get them out, smoke grenades, get them out. There's just it's a very frustrating experience in my opinion right now for the Gulag. I think Gulag should just be really a one-on-one gunfight. You know, I don't like that there's lethals and tacticals that kind of ruin the experience for me and a lot of other players in the Gulag. You know, I take advantage of all the lethals. There's lethals on the ground. If you threw a smoke, if you spawned with a smoke, you could find a shock stick charge on the ground in the Gulag. And I think for me, it just doesn't make it a very competitive feel. And I want Gulags to feel competitive where you feel like you earn that fight. And it also, when you win or you lose, you feel like there's things that you can fix or do better. So I would like to see that change. And also the money. I don't know why, but in the Gulag right now, there's like $6,000 on the ground. And they've kind of dialed it down a little bit, but I would love to see where the Gulags just have no money. You go in the Gulag to save your life and to kind of save the team and the streak rather than going in to kind of gain an advantage. So I personally would like to see that change with the Gulags. Now, these would be kind of the final things that I touch on about this. I think that I would love to see some originality. It's kind of the word I've been using to kind of explain how I want Verdansk to come back. But I would love to see, you know, the player base just be happy from a creator standpoint and a casual standpoint. I would love to see everyone just happy about Verdansk coming back. And, you know, I'm really tired of the negativity, you know, with Warzone. I think we've had it for a couple years now. And I think Modern Warfare 3 was generally pretty good. I actually enjoyed Modern Warfare 3 a lot, especially the Warzone side of things. I think Urzikstan was a very, very weak map, but I would love to see just the player base and stuff just be happy about the game, because I think it's so easy to complain about Warzone and it's just been so negative. You know, we've done plenty of videos, as you guys know, on this channel, just about the negative impact that updates and stuff have had on the player base. So here's a couple of things that I want to see kind of come back into the game. You know, in this top comment, I said if they can put originally back into the game, the player base will be happy. From a casual to creators, these things will change and would bring people back. And let me add to this right here, floating loot. Guys, if floating loot came back, I would be absolutely stoked. I know that a lot of the player base would be stoked to see this because we kind of lost floating loot with the backpack system, and they've slowly transitioned out of the backpack system, and now it's actually pretty good. I think the looting process right now is pretty good, but again, there's a lot of little things that nostalgia will strike like a spark and an excitement in a lot of the players, you know, minds. And I think just seeing floating loot again would be huge. This isn't something I don't think that they've even talked about or mentioned, so I don't know if it'll come back, but I would like to see it come back, and I think it'd be super amazing. Now, the original buy station menu, if you guys don't know, the vertical menu, or I don't even know what kind, it looks like Netflix or Hulu. I forgot which movie production company or streaming service company kind of took over for Warzone, but it just looks very weird. And I just like the simplicity of the older buy station, and we talked a little bit about this in my last video. I would just like to see the original buy station experience kind of come back, where it's super easy and casual friendly and easy to use. Maybe even add a couple menus where if you hit L1, R1, it kind of swipes to the side and you can select different things. I would love to see that. And lastly but not least, I would like to see 150 players come back. If you guys didn't know, I talked about in my last video, and I mentioned it earlier, the 200 Battle Royale LTM mode that we got in Verdansk. I would love to see that mode come back as an LTM. And also, I think 150 should be standard for pubs. I wouldn't mind the ranked mode staying at 120. You know, if they want to add it to 150, you know, the ranked mode and competitive, I wouldn't mind that either. I do think at 120 plays pretty well, but, you know, I just think 150 for Verdansk. Anything that's under 150, it's just going to be negatively looked at from the community. So I would like to see a 150 player base come back. But yeah, that's gonna be all for the video. And if you guys are here, I would really appreciate it if you guys comment down below. Let me know what you guys think and you want for Verdansk. I saw these leaks and these things on Twitter today, and it's even on my explore page right here with Warzone and on Twitter, and you know, just a lot of information that's kind of going around right now with Verdansk. And this is the guy that kind of tweeted about all of it, the Ghost of Hope, and he's he's pretty accurate with a lot of his leaks and stuff that he talks about. So I'm hoping to see just great changes that come with Verdansk, and I'm super optimistic about it. You know, I know that a lot of the updates in the past have kind of let us down, but I'm just a super optimistic person, and I hope to see that the game continues to grow. I love you guys, man. And again, if you guys are new here, I would really appreciate if you like the video. Comment down below, please, guys. I want to make this like a discussion, and also subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace, peace, peace.